Good morning, everybody. I'm Sarah. I'm the Real Simple Mama. This is my daughter who's cooking up something suspicious. Hello. And we're going to talk today about chickens and molting. I've been getting some emails from people who are asking about molting, what it is, how they can help, what's going on. And to be honest, molting kind of sucks for everybody involved. As you can see, good grief, my chickens have started molting. There are feathers everywhere. So before we talk about what molting is, let's talk about the chicken feather. The fascinating... No, you're not fascinating, you're a chicken. So the way chicken feathers work, it is not the way our fingernails work, our hair works, and that a feather doesn't continually grow. A feather grows to the size that it's going to be and it stops. So, for example, when you're cutting your chicken's wings so that they can't fly over stuff, and I honestly recommend you do that for all of your birds, whether or not they free range. I do have a video showing you how to do it. It's easier to do with two people, but it's really quick, really easy. Usually it takes you longer to catch the bird than it takes you to actually, clip their wings. But the good news about chicken feathers is once you clip their wings, you don't have to do it again for another year. If you have chicks, you don't have to worry about molting for another year. Your chickens are going to molt probably at the end of summer, beginning of fall. Good grief, Callie, be quiet, jeez. The good news is chicken feathers are not constantly growing, so you don't have to give them haircuts on a regular basis or anything like that. The bad news is when it's time for them to get new feathers, their body sort of goes into like just complete shedding mode. And so a ton of their feathers are going to fall out within a period of a couple of days, as you can see. And I purposely have not cleaned the coop yet because I wanted to show you the effect. Don't worry about the weird colored poop. That's what happens when you give your chickens blueberries. So there's nothing wrong with them. They're not mutants or anything. So that's the problem with chicken feathers. When they go through a molt, it is their body basically saying these feathers are all old. We're going to shed, depending on the bird, between like 30 and 80% of their total feathers. And we're talking the soft, fluffy down ones that are like underneath their body, as well as the smooth, shiny, waterproof ones. This is going to happen for every breed, for hens and roosters, starting, like I said, when they're about a year and a half old, and then going on every year at about the same time. Another thing that's sort of like good news, bad news, all of your chickens are probably going to molt at about the same time, which is good because it's like, let's get it over with. I don't know what the deal is with the planes this morning. I apologize. Let's get the molting over with all of the birds so that they're all miserable at the same time. I can give them all the same supplements, but it also sucks because all of your birds are going to be kind of miserable at the same time. So when molting happens, their feathers are going to fall out. You do not need to pull them out or do anything to try to expedite the process. Let their body just shed what they're going to shed. Calypso, when she has molted, it's been very, very mild. I've seen other birds, like Gracie had a bad molt / pecking attack before I got her, and her tail feathers have never really grown back. This is Gracie right here, and she has like 2 tail feathers. So it just kind of depends on the chicken. You can look up pictures of molting chickens. Sometimes they don't look that bad, and sometimes they lose like almost every feather on their body except for the ones around their face. That's the only thing that I've noticed, is that they won't lose the tiny, short, little thin feathers that are around their eyes and on their face. But other than that, any feather is fair game. Okay? And then the process of them growing those new feathers back in, and we'll talk more about how that works in a second, but that process will probably take 1 to 2 months. Again, depending on the bird, depending on how you supplement them, depending on how hard the molt basically hit them and affected them. So obviously the first sign is you come out and there's feathers everywhere. This is not the same as your chickens having a fight. This is literally, they wake up and they fly down off the roost and it's like, and just feathers go everywhere. It looks like somebody grabbed your chickens and had like a pillow fight in the night. Right, girls? Y'all have made a mess. So then in the process, over just a couple of days, they're going to lose what they're going to lose. And again, depending on the bird, you can't really help it. It's sort of a genetic thing. Is going to determine, how bad and pathetic and miserable they look. So then the process of growing in the new feathers, like I said, will take a month or 2. Well, go lay an egg. Go on. No one's using your bucket. She likes the bucket. Are you mad Lacey's up there? So from what I understand, here's kind of how it works for your chicken. First of all, regrowing feathers, those big, thick pin feathers, is very uncomfortable. I don't know that I would say painful. I don't know that we can tell if it's painful or not. You know how chickens like to hide pain and discomfort, but it is certainly not a comfortable feeling. So a couple of things to keep in mind. You're going to want to not pick up your chicken. Don't hold them. Don't try to pick them up unless you absolutely have to, because it's going to be super uncomfortable for them. Another thing is you want to make sure that they have access to a dust bath or dust bathing areas, just where they've got sand and dirt that they can roll around in, because that'll help with the itchiness and the discomfort. It's sort of like us getting over a sunburn, right? Like you need to get out with the old and in with the new. Something else you want to be aware of is that your girls are, as far as hens are concerned, they are probably not going to lay any eggs at all, or your production is certainly going to go down significantly while they're molting. Because again, the most important thing in their life is not that they provide you with breakfast every day. So their body is going to go into conservation mode. It's going to go into bare minimum mode. Hey, Lacey. Come on. Come on, Chi-Chi. What are you doing? So their body's going to say, the most important thing in my life right now is not that I lay an egg every day. That doesn't really matter. That's not the top priority. So unfortunately, you may have to do the walk of shame into the grocery store and buy eggs, because if all of your chickens are going through a molt at about the same time, which is probable, then you may not get any eggs for a good 3 to 6 weeks, okay, while your chickens' bodies are recovering. So again, we're looking for this to happen. I started seeing posts about this the last couple weeks in my chicken forum. I've started getting emails from people who are like, okay, what is going on? How can I help my birds? Holy crap, they lost all of their feathers. Help, what is going on? And then, of course, I came out here yesterday and it was like, okay, I guess we're going to go through a molt now. All right. So it's not dangerous. There's nothing wrong with your birds of them being diseased. Of course, you can look at the base of, let me grab one. You can look at the base of some of these feathers. So these are obviously the feathers that are down underneath, because they are not the waterproof ones. And this is the pin that we're talking about. So imagine a new one of these growing in through your skin. Like, that's not the best feeling in the world. What? This is not the Calypso show. Excuse me, ma'am. And I mean, you can check the feathers to make sure there's not like poultry lice or nits. It'll look like little eggs or little clumps here at the base of the feather. But I mean, chances are there's not any like weird disease going on, especially if it's this time of year, right? Like August, September. Chances are it's just they're going through a molt, and there's nothing you can do to prevent it, but there are things you can do to help. So that's what molting is. And like I said, around the same time, and I hope that you're keeping a chicken journal. I thought about how I could make a video of showing you how to keep a chicken journal, but hopefully you're keeping track of, you know, I started noticing feathers on this date. It seemed like egg production went down on these dates. I started supplementing on this date, and then it seemed like we were over the molt on this date. So keep data. I'm going to get out of here because they're just so loud. So, no escaping. No, go play. Go do chicken stuff. Go, you're a chicken. Go do chicken stuff. Look at this. They're not spoiled at all. So let's talk about how you can help, because there are some things that you can do, and I've touched on it a little bit so far. But again, remember, your chickens are not going to lay a lot of eggs right now, and I personally, in my selfish jerk opinion, I think it's cruel for you to put artificial light in the coop and try to force your chickens' bodies to lay eggs for you anyway. I hope that if you're here on my chicken YouTube channel, you do have a compassionate heart, and you do, I mean, you love your birds, and the eggs are great, and the chicken poop for compost is great, and the companionship is great, but basically, I mean, it's like we just like our birds. So you kind of just take it as like, oh, well, that sucks. I'm going to have to buy eggs for a couple weeks. And it'll make you appreciate your girls' eggs even better, because their eggs are so much creamier and brighter and just absolutely wonderful. But anyway, here are some things that you can do to help, because there is a little bit. Now, you can't, like I said, you cannot stop the molt. You cannot, like, I don't know, coat your chickens in super glue or something and like, haha, that's not going to work. They need to go through this every year. And it's just a good sign that your birds are healthy. Their body is planning on being around for a while. Hi, Blue. I was going to tell you guys, I'm so embarrassed, but their little pool is empty right now, but I had it like angled and upside down the other day so that it could drain and not fill with rainwater, because we got rain the other day. I came out to put the girls up and I couldn't find Blue. And of course, I shouldn't tell the universe this because then it remembers, but Blue's my favorite and I love Blue. And I was just freaking out and I couldn't find her, and she wasn't up roosting or anything. One of the chickens had knocked the pool down and Blue was trapped under the swimming pool. And finally I was like, I wonder. And I lifted it up and she was just cowering there like, oh, I'm in this blue hell. So that was fun. But anyway, so back to molting. So, you know, there's nothing you can do to prevent it, but you can make your life and your chicken's life a little bit easier. So first of all, do not pick up your chickens. Do not try to cuddle them and pick them up and whatever. Those pin feathers coming in through their skin is painful times however many hundreds of feathers that they have, right? So that's got to be uncomfortable at best and painful at worst. Give them lots of dust bath opportunities. I've done videos before on dust bathing. You can go look at recipes on Pinterest of like, here are things you can add in the dust bath. But basically you just want it to be dry. You want it to be not sanitary, of course, because we're talking dirt and sand, but you can add things like diatomaceous earth or poultry dust. You can add fresh dried herbs, either that you buy or that you make at home. There's a lot of things that can just help calm the chickens down, either, you know, psychologically or like in a physical sense, calming down their skin. Just make sure you know what you're doing if you're making like your own recipe and adding things in. Another thing that you can do is look for, and this is a big one, you give them extra protein. When chickens are growing, or if they're like meat birds or whatever, they have a higher percentage of protein in their food. Like chick starter has a higher percentage of protein because you're trying to get your birds to grow. And then you're supposed to switch to layer food, right, when your hens have full grown, and that is a little bit less percentage of protein and a higher percentage of calcium and some other stuff. You can change foods. Now, I don't know that I would be as extreme as going back to chick starter food, because then, you know, there's other sacrifices being made there. But, and again, I don't get endorsed by anybody. Nobody's given me anything. But there is a food you can buy in smaller bags, and it's called Feather Fixer. And it's a higher protein for adult birds that are going through a molt. And it's literally like, you don't buy it in big 50-pound bags. You buy it, the bag's like 15 pounds. And you buy it just to be like a temporary supplemental thing. Another thing you can do is give them protein snacks. That's going to be not fruits and vegetables, obviously. So options that would be good, you can give them their own eggs and scramble them and give them back to them. Do not give them store-bought eggs. There's not hardly any nutritional value there. It's kind of pointless. But giving them their eggs back scrambled is one thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do is give them black sunflower seeds or other types of seeds. They do not have to be shelled. Remember, the chickens will eat them whole, just like ducks and other birds. And then you can give them, of course, mealworms, black soldier fly larvae. I was given a bag of Fly Grubs to demo. My chickens love them, and I've only been giving them it like, you know, once a week, but we're going to start doing it more frequently, either in the mornings or in the evenings, just to give them a bit of protein. That will help their body to recover better as they're going through the molt, and hopefully it'll make the molt finish quicker and help them grow those feathers back more quickly. So molting sucks for everybody. It's inevitable. It's a sign of a good, healthy chicken, and for better or for worse, they're all probably going to go through it at about the same time once a year, so mark your calendar. But there's not really a whole bunch of stuff you can buy or a magic solution. Basically, it's giving your birds protein, giving them space where they can rest, where they can lay down and just be comfortable. So again, like making sure that they have shade, and making sure, you know, that they are, you know, that they've got the dust bath options if they're itchy or they're trying to get those old feathers off. I mean, I told you it's kind of like us having a bad sunburn, right? And first it's like, and then you're itchy and it's just, ugh. So just giving them some options, but don't cuddle them, don't hug them. If you are the kind of person who puts clothes on your chickens or whatever, like keep all of that stuff off of them, because it's just kind of a crappy time. And, you know, they'll get over it. They'll be fine. But I hope that this has helped. I can tell that all of their fluff butts look different. And you'll see the feathers that kind of coming off of them. But remember, you don't need to brush them. You don't need to pull feathers off of them. Give them plenty of opportunities to bathe, to be in the shade and in the cool. You know, this is going to happen for every breed, whether it's a silky or a frizzle or a bantam or a leghorn or any of just like the regular production hens. It happens with hens and roosters. It's going to happen after they've had their full feathers for about a year. So that's going to make them, you know, about a year and a half, not quite a year and a half old. And that'll happen yearly after that. So I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. Again, that food is called Feather Fixer. I don't get paid or endorsed by them at all. It's just something that I've seen other people recommend, because it is like a crumble or like a layer food, but it just has a bit extra percentage of protein. You're looking for at least 16 to 18% protein is in the normal layer food. The food that I normally use, Purina Leina, I've tried a couple of different brands, 3 or 4 brands throughout the last couple of years, and that's the one I like best. But I'm not going to buy different food for my girls, I don't think. I'm just going to supplement with the seeds and the mealworms and the black soldier fly larvae, because my girls like it. I can control exactly how much they're eating, and then hopefully we'll get this taken care of quickly. So the last thing to remember is, if you do clip chicken wings, which I do recommend that you do, whether or not they free range, just so that you can't, you know, your bird can't fly over the fence or whatever. Once their molting is complete and all of their new feathers are in, guess what? The feathers that you clipped have now fallen out. And they have new full-grown feathers. So after the molt is completely done, and you don't have to worry about hurting your bird when you're picking her up because it's poking her, you are going to have to clip wings again. So I will make a note, in about 2 months I'm going to have to clip wings again. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that it answered questions about molting and what's happening and what's going on and why am I not getting eggs all of a sudden and what can I do to help. Feel free to put questions and comments down here. You guys know my email address. I'm always here to help. I appreciate you being respectful and helpful in the comments. And we have lots of more content. We always have lots of ideas for videos, so we will be back soon.